Let me put you on the spot here. You are a CEO of a company.
I'm not a CEO. Oh. I'm a senior partner. I handed over as CEO, which takes me to a point I need to correct. You describe me as an economist. Well, I'm a transportation economist. I talk a lot about economy, so I study transportation economics, but I'm not a practicing economist.
But let me put you in a context of an owner of a business, and not even as a partner here. How are you going to deal with the people with all these challenges? The bitter truth, the bitter action that you have to take in 2023.
That's painful. We, as a rule, work on our strategy 3 months before the end of the year. And we work on strategy cycles. So incidentally, we happen to be beginning a new strategy cycle, which is going to be 2023 to 2025. It's a 3-year strategy cycle. And for the first time, we are taking a very, very critical look at the number of employees. We had an expansion in terms of number of employees last year because of expanding growth in the economy, but of our clients actually. But we are doing a projection and looking at whether the ability to sustain that number of employees or to increase it is likely to occur. The good thing about some businesses also is if they have other sources of income outside the one in Ghana, then it affects, you look at what adjustments do you make? Do you make adjustments outside Ghana? Do you make adjustments within Ghana, etc.? But the point blank question you put me is whether we are going to do retrenchment as an example. I mean,
not this company, just scenarios that if you are faced with all these challenges, some have said that there's always been an easier and escape route for most businesses that, yes, you can touch the staff.
I will look at the number.
So for you, do you think that with all these challenges, a downsizing is a prudent action to take?
Not necessarily so. I will look at the number and I gave you the percentages. If my percentage of remuneration or staff cost is above 35% of my total, I will make a decision on that. But there are ways to cut. If I can consciously cut cost of administration, I'll cut that rather than let employees go. If I can cut the net profit that I make, I will cut that and rather let employees go. Because you'll be adding more to the social problem, and as a Ghanaian or as an African, you need to take that factor into account. That's one thing I will take into account. 2, it will be important for me to also understand that the staff have to be, as it were, talked to regarding productivity and the ability to make sure that they produce to the level that we can earn other sources of income, especially non-government dependent income. So I would rather retain staff than let staff go. The issue of letting staff go is often the easier route, and I agree. But if you look at it within a certain period, if the economy recovers, then getting them back is more of a larger cost. So look at your entire strategy. Are there ways you can maintain staff? I would not recommend that as the first point of call. What I would definitely recommend is that to be very careful about increasing staff, because I think there is too much uncertainty in the system.
So let the layoffs be the last action.
Yes, at least
after other things have been
in
considered.
Any crisis, your first point is to maintain the status quo and make sure you don't deteriorate, which is the reason why I say I will maintain staff first. And then you see whether you can survive the crisis, and then whether you can now take advantage of the crisis and grow. So at least for the first 6 months, you should be very calm, look at what you can do, and always have a time frame. If you have to let staff go, remember by regulation, you need a minimum of 3 months notice to let them go if you are doing retrenchment. So it's always better to have that kind of buffer, which is why it's really painful that companies which recourse to government bonds may not have access to their bonds or the returns on it.
This is